Cristiano Ronaldo is being linked away from Forest. Welcome to the January transfer window. Good morning, good evening, or good night. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to your latest Forest transfer news. Yes, it's that time of year again. The ins, the outs, the shake it all about in and around Forest. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And for those of you asking me about my Rivals React video, that's over on TFN, our second channel, so make sure you check it out. I'll leave a link for it at the end of the screen. Honestly, there's just too many rival tiers right now. Love it, love it. Okay, coming up in today's video, we're going to tell you this link/rumour to Chris Wood leaving Nottingham Forest. We'll give you the latest on Ola Aina and his contract negotiations, as Man City are sniffing around him as well. There's plenty going to happen this window. It's going to be busy as always with Forest. So let's kick this one off with Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, so reports are coming out to say that AC Milan and Napoli are interested in signing Cristiano Ronaldo, as well as some Saudi clubs. Now, for those of you who may be living under a rock or forgotten, Wood's contract with Forest will expire at the end of the year, which means come January, he is able to talk to any club outside the Premier League and arrange a pre-contract agreement under the Bosman rules. Now, does that stop Premier League club talking to him? Of course not. We all know it still happens, but officially nothing would be announced if he were to sign for a Premier League club until the end of the season. But the reports coming out today are suggesting that these European clubs, that these Saudi clubs are seriously contemplating the idea of Chris Wood going and joining them. And Napoli are sitting second in Serie A, AC Milan are sitting 8th. And they do need some bolstering in the striking front. But I just don't buy it. One, I don't really like the source of this one. I think it's very, very weak. And I don't think Chris Wood is ready to give up the Premier League. If he's sitting there in the top 5 goal scorers in the so-called best league in the world, then why would he downgrade himself to go to Serie A, who are definitely a lesser league, or Saudi to cash in, when he can probably go to Saudi in a year or two's time anyway? So I'm not giving this one a lot of credit. Now, there have been some weird rumours flying around the internet saying that, well, Chris Wood is only prepared to stay at Forest if we give him wages that matches those strikers that are in and around him, the likes of Haaland, Mo Salah, etc., etc. They're not true at all. With those players, we're talking about 300k, 250k a week. That's not the level Forest will be going to on a striker. And if that was the case, Forest would be like, thanks for your service and on your bike. We're not busting our wage structure like that. So I don't believe them anyway. I think Chris Wood is quite a reasonable person. He's understood that when he first came, he was not informed. There's no two ways about it. Under Cooper, he was one of the worst strikers we've seen in ages. And I'm sure he respects and appreciates Nuno's system and the way Nuno's been able to get the best out of him. So for Chris Wood to sit there and demand 250 to 300k, I think is an absolute joke and is no way on his radar. Now, do I think there is any truth in these rumours about the likes of AC Milan and Napoli coming in for Chris Wood? Yes, I do. The man scored 11 goals already in the Premier League. He's on course, we're halfway through now, to end up somewhere in and around the 20 goals. And Forest is sitting in second, and a good portion of that is because of his goals this season. So of course these clubs are going to be interested in him. Let's not forget the likes of AC Milan still have Giroud there, who's about 37 years old. And when he went there, he was still scoring goals for them, still getting into the France international team, etc. So AC Milan aren't, against bringing in a more senior player, someone deep into his 30s. So that's all well and good. I believe that side of it. What I don't believe is that Chris Wood actually wants to leave Forest. He's been here now, coming on to 2 years in January. He's settled in very nicely under Nuno, and I think he knows that that Nuno style of football will suit him. However, let's be realistic about this. Forest will need to bring in another striker because Wadinho is getting on in years, and what you don't want to happen with your squad is what we're seeing at Manchester City now, where suddenly their superstars are past it in their 30s and they suddenly have to change a whole squad. There's no value really left in these players. They're probably all going to ship out to Saudi Arabia soon, and Man City have a rebuild on them. So there are strikers being linked to Forest. We'll do the incoming strikers and incoming links in a separate video. But for me, I think Forest will agree a deal with Chris Wood to keep him on. I think the question right now is how much are they going to agree on? Remember, Chris Wood's on about 80 or 90k a week currently, and how long will that contract be? Chris Wood will want that contract as long as possible because he will see it as his last major contract in a Premier League club, and Forest will like to keep it reasonable, probably a 2-year deal plus a 1 as an extended option there. So that's the latest on Chris Wood. What do you guys think? Do you think he leaves under a Bosman or not? Let me know in the comments. All right, so let's move across to Ola Aina, my favorite player right now, who initially came to Forest on a free, on a 1-year deal that had a +1 attached to it. That was triggered last season, and now he's in the exact same boat as Chris Wood, and that this deal is expiring at the end of the year, so he can start talking to clubs in January if he so sees fit. Now, the links are coming from Man City, or to Man City, should I say, about him moving because, as I just mentioned, they have an aging squad and they're looking to replace Kyle Walker, who has fallen off a cliff edge this season and is done when it comes to that top level of English football. So they need a replacement, and what better replacement could there be in the Premier League than, of course, Ola Aina? This one's a complicated one. Okay, so I do worry that the links are Man City because you would think a lot of footballers would find that an interesting proposition. They will obviously pay more with their oil money than Forest will. They can maybe kind of, if you look at it over a long-term view, offer more European football, even though the direction Forest are going in now, you know, I'm not going to jinx anything. So there are pluses and minuses from the perspective of Ola Aina for this. And then the real question that needs to be asked is, why have Forest let this run down yet again? This happened last season, they got it tied up, they extended it for another year. And clearly there isn't a +1 trigger for the club. Now, for those of you who don't understand what the +1 is, let's just say a player is offered a 2-year contract. What clubs like to do is tag a +1 year on that, and that gives them the option. So they will have the option when that contract is coming to expire to then trigger that +1 to extend it by another year. And technically they don't need the approval of that player. So it doesn't look like there was a +1 on the current deal. It looks like when this one runs out, it's run out. If he doesn't sign a new contract, he could be done with Forest. However, what I'm hearing is basically it's going to be fine. Aina wants to stay at Forest. The club 100% wants to keep Aina. This is a case of it's just taken longer to get all the agreements done. I assume the length of the contract is the big sticking issue, because if you look at Aina's contracts recently, they've all been very short term, and maybe he likes the idea of keeping his options open. So I can't say for sure, is this the club that is stalling it, or is this on the player's agent side that is stalling it? I don't know. But what I hear is that it is going to get done, and Aina will still remain at Forest because he's got his best mates there. He's got me there bigging him up as well. Why would he want to leave? So my message to you guys is don't worry about this one. I'm hearing very, very positive signs on it. And hopefully my boy Aina will sign a new contract with Forest. So we'll keep you posted once it becomes official. But I'm not that worried about this one. Chris Wood, maybe a little more worried. We'll see how that one develops. So those are the two main stories about the players going out. The other one, as we mentioned on Grumpy Old Reds, was on Murillo. Now, this was his adductor muscle. We believe that it's not a serious injury. If anything, it was a precaution taking him off before the, who did we play the other day? Oh yeah, Everton, for the Everton game. Now, I'm not convinced he will start against Wolves, not because he's injured, but because I'm looking at it from a logical perspective that If we can get through the Wolves game, then the next game is going to be Luton in the Cup. And then he gets himself a couple of weeks off because I don't expect him to play in the FA Cup. And then we've got the title decider against Liverpool on the 14th of Jan. So I think he'll be fit enough for the Wolves game, but maybe rested as a precaution, not because he's injured. But as we get closer to the game, I'll let you know if we're hearing any more news about it. But the signs on Murillo are actually looking very positive, just like everything else at Forest right now. So that's your info on, and that's your transfer news, sorry, on those ones going out. We'll have another video for you because there's a lot of talk about players coming in. And if you want to have a good giggle and a good laugh at Rival Tiers, go check out TFN, where you got my rival reaction video there. Please do subscribe there as well. The link's pinned in the comments, or you can scan this QR code. Hopefully this update's been useful to you. Let me know your thoughts about it all in the comments down below. We will see you on the next video. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. Keep smiling. Forest a second. Thank you, Tractor Boys. Come on, you Reds.